is up, people? Welcome to Devote 101. I really scared you, didn't I?
A little bit.
Okay, kind of creeped you out a little bit. Welcome to Devote 101. We're going to do our best not to interrupt each other and just talk about what God has done for us. I am Nathaniel Donaldson, and who I have with me today, I was really excited about this because it's been a long time coming because I haven't done a podcast in a long while. I'm not going to give any excuses why, because they're all bad excuses. So those excuses will not be given. We're just going to get right into it. I have a good young man of God. Ever since I first met you, I remember you've really grown a whole lot, because I remember back whenever you used to not talk to anyone. And Simon Warren. Your last name, man. Okay. Simon Warren, is that it? Warren. Okay, I always feel like I want to say Warren with it. But
Everybody pronounces it weird.
It's a strange thing.
Everybody thinks it's like Warren.
Moron. I used to call you Simon Moron.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
really?
No, that was a long time ago before they talked to you. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was Morin.
Really?
So I was like, Simon Moron. I don't know. But, so.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Figured a good way to get this back up and going is talk about something that I kind of apply to myself when it comes to doing a lot of stuff, especially in the walk with God. We're just going to really talk about what motivates you. And I think this is going to really cover a lot. And I don't want to give it a generic, question saying what motivates you to be a Christian, because that can go to a lot of different things. So I kind of want to get a little bit specific on these kind of things. And if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the first question. A good one to really start off with, because a lot of people, when you're talking about walking with God or talking about doing anything in, the ministry or anything like that, is prayer. So the first question to ask is, what is it, or what motivates you to pray?
Man, obviously prayer is like a very important thing. It's, prayer can change a lot of things. It's very powerful. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. Prayer can change a lot of things. One of the things that really motivates me to pray is the fact that, praying is really just having a conversation with God. And, just like me and you were talking now, the more you talk with someone, the closer the friendship will be. So the more I talk with God, the closer my friendship will be, the closer the relationship, and the easier it'll be to talk to Him. And so obviously it says in the Bible to die daily and pray daily, which is something I think we should all try to do, obviously. Something we can all get better at doing. I know I could be better at doing it. But really, I know that's simple, but really just that. What motivates me to pray is just the fact that I know when I pray, it can change things. When I pray, it grows my relationship with God. It allows me to have a better friendship with God.
I think the best way to think about it is not that you have to do it; it's that you need to do it. It from what the experience I've had with it.
Yeah, God's not going to make you pray.
Yeah, He's not going to make you pray. He gives us the free choice to do it. It's the fact that knowing that you made the sacrifice to do it means a lot to God. And for one, you're talking to Him. It's not that you're doing this. It's the fact that you are talking to Him, taking the time to do it. But the way that I look at it, at least for last Sunday it was Pentecost Sunday, and I know that it was going to be a rocking service that morning. So what I did, really to get myself ready, I was like, I know I need to go in the prayer room, but I don't need to go and pray for like 5 minutes, because I'm not saying praying for 5 minutes is bad. Sometimes all you can get is 5 minutes, but knowing that the amount of time you put in to go pray means a lot, and it's actually a whole lot better for you spiritually, because I know that if I go in there and pray for 5 minutes compared to 25 minutes, is a whole lot better, because you're more in that zone, like in that. It's kind of a weird way to phrase it, but like you're in that zone, fired up and ready to get into the worship service. Because like last Sunday, I knew I needed to get in there and pray, and knowing that I prayed about it, and I just kept asking God, let this morning be a what was it exactly I said? Let this morning be a great service. Let your spirit flow. We haven't had one of those in a long time. Let's be honest, we haven't had. We go through those seasons, and I knew Pentecost Sunday. I just had that feeling. I was like, I just want you to go pray. It's the fact that I know it's going. Like when you get that feeling that church is about to be good, it's good to pray. But also, even if you don't feel that, it's still good to pray.
Kind of like when you have a youth service or something coming up, a big event, something like that. You just feel like you should pray.
It's good to ask God for that covering, because once you do that, it knows that. I mean, God knows that you actually are sincere about this, and you want His guidance. That's what it is. It's just really asking God for guidance, asking God to help us break these walls down, bring that atmosphere, let the Spirit just flow, and from whatever goes on there, it's just knowing that you got to that you need to pray. It's not that you have to, because once you start getting that mindset that you have to, it's just like you're going through the motions.
A good prayer to pray is not just, I need to pray. It really, you should pray like, God, teach me to pray, teach me how to pray.
There's those days where when I pray, when I think about it, it's, there's those days where you talk to God and just ask God, let the Spirit flow, let all this kind of stuff, yada yada, but then there's those days where I just talk to God about stuff like the way I talk to like you or something. Just it's just I need to talk to God about something. It's like God, I have this decision I got to make. I don't know what I got to make, and I really don't know where I need to go from here, and stuff like that. When you're talking to God like that, it's you talking to him like you're your friend. I'm not saying you have to talk like that, and you don't have to use big words either. But if you like to use big words when you talk to God, that's fine as well. Both prayers are in the same. Not the one with the big words are better. If you're loud and I wasn't gonna say obnoxious. If you're just really loud when you pray, it's not as different as whenever you pray. To between you and God, and you're very quiet at praying. As long as you're praying, that's the really the thing that matters, And I just know that as long as you're taking the time out of your day, anytime, even when you're driving or when you're doing something, just saying under your breath some sort of prayer. If you want to hold that thought, I got to go do something because life, come back and finish it or something. It's just knowing that. It's like you need to get it in. You need to talk to God because you can't make it without Him, kind of thing. It's just knowing that He's there, and you're just there to kind of like you're just updating Him on stuff, kind of thing. It's just a good thing to kind of keep Him, in your grasp as far as prayer goes.
I mean, we're all busy and everything, but really, I don't think we should use the excuse of we're too busy because I mean, God's always there. We can always either make time, or if we're super busy, we can pray on the go,
Mm-hmm. Well, people say you only make time for the things that you actually care about.
Right.
And if you want to use the excuse saying that I don't have time to pray, then that means, I'm sorry, you don't care. You don't care enough. People's like, I literally don't have any time out of the day. Some people can try to break it down to me all they want to, saying I have this, and this, and this. Okay, let's just say like somebody's like, I have to do this project from 2 to 3, and then I have this thing I have to be at 5. So what about between 4 and 5? What are you doing then? Well, I'm resting. Huh. There's your chance to make a sacrifice. The fact that the fact that you're making a sacrifice is what's good. And it's actually a good thing to transition from. Let me read this verse real quick. 1 John 5:14. And this is the confidence that we have in Him, that if we ask anything according to His will, He heareth us. And the fact that that's a good thing to know. Because some people just feel like when they pray it doesn't get answered. It's hard to really just sometimes just ask God for something specific because we want it right now, and we want to at least, if I can't have it right now, give me some sort of sign that I that it's going to happen pretty soon or something like that. And it's just let God do God. Yeah. Let God be God. And we need to just step out of the way. Going back to the last episode, just trusting God's process and letting Him work through it, and just knowing that you've done your part asking Him. You just got to have faith next, and it's an important thing to know that you need to talk to him, and know that you can talk to him about anything, and that you can ask him for anything. And some people just think it's meaningless because, well, I don't get results, so maybe that result you asked for, you don't need it. That's some people that's something that people really have an issue with, is if they ask and they don't get it, they're just thinking, well, God's still working. It's like, well, maybe you don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, God works all things out for the good for the ones who love him, obviously, but, according to his perfect will. When you pray, you ask him to do something, he will according to his perfect will.
We can kind of transition into this next thing, knowing the fact that you make time out of your day to pray. You are sacrificing. And that's what y'all need to be able to do, is to sacrifice. When you're making that sacrifice to pray, is showing God that you are willing to sacrifice time out of your day when we have so much stuff we have to do now. And that's the issue a lot of people have, is just giving up something to sacrifice for God, and really to, just willing to let go of something important to us in the world and then to talk to him. So we can kind of transition into this part. When it comes to sacrifice, the hardest thing, I know for me, and I struggle with this way more than anything else when it comes to my walk with God, is fasting. So, and that takes a big toll in your walk with God and having faith and stuff, and that's something to do. So I'm going to ask you this question. What motivates you to fast?
What motivates me to fast? Well, man, obviously, again, fasting is a very important thing. When you look at the kind of sacrifices they made, like, I'll just say in the Bible days, like burnt offerings, stuff like that, fasting, like social media or something like that, that's really nothing.
Yeah,
I can't even really fast social media because I hardly ever get on Facebook.
You hardly get on it, yeah. I don't even really have much of it, so.
Yeah.
I think it is a good thing to do, though, but it's not I don't see that as a sacrifice.
Right.
Honestly, because
somebody that stayed on your phone, that would definitely be a sacrifice.
If that's your life, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I know I can go without social media because I deleted Snapchat about 5 months ago, and I've never missed it. I used to love Snapchat. I was just Snapchatting people, just doing that kind of stuff, but
Snapchat for
it has that dark side to it, though, where it can turn into
an evil
thing.
Looking at anything bad on it, but
no, but it can be tempting. There's always something that pops up. They made it to where it's like its own social media stuff now, where you can watch a bunch of stories and stuff, and something just pops up, you don't even realize it. And so I chose to delete that because I don't need that in my life. It's too much of a temptation. It's too much of an issue. And it was just there. The opportunity was there to do something bad or look at something bad or just come across something, even if it's accidental. So the social media thing, I don't personally do because I know I can do it if I want to. Because there's days I go without even looking at it, and somebody's like, "Hey, did you see what I posted?" And I'm like, "No," because I don't get on it. The hard thing for me, because I know I cannot go one day without missing a meal because my body gets so weak. I don't know. I'm telling you, I got to be diabetic because if I don't have sugar or something, my sugar drops just like that. Especially on Sunday mornings, if I don't eat something, I feel like absolute garbage by the time church starts. So it's kind of hard to worship. It's like, oh, we need to worship. I'm like, I don't have any energy. And so the fact, knowing that after you pray, if you really want a result and you have faith, you can fast about that. And that's the part where it's difficult for me because it's just finding a time or finding the right time for me to fast because I work about 5 days out of the week, and so when I'm working, I need to eat something. It's just I can't go like some people can a day without eating. I could never do that because I haven't, for one, trained my body to do it. Because that kind of speaks for itself. I haven't exactly taken the sacrifice to even fast. So knowing that you need to fast is tremendously important when it comes to waiting for God's answer for something. Because I actually want to tell you this. This actually worked for me one time, and it wasn't even that much of a fast. So this speaks to how much, if you did it more, how great would your blessings be or something. Because I worked a job before my current one, and it was a nice job. I didn't mind it at all. It was just the atmosphere and what it was turning into, and just also the workflow was very frustrating. It didn't help me much of it as a Christian. It wasn't very healthy for me either, because I was stressing out so bad. With me at my young age, if we stress out, we have, just acne that just shows for it. Even if you take care of your body, if you stress out, it's going to show on your face. And so, like, I was broke out. I was so stressed out. I was always angry. People were just like, you were really snappy. Like, what's your deal? It's like I'm just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I was like, okay, I need a new job. And man, I can't tell you how many jobs I applied to. It had to have been 15 plus, and never got a call. And it was even places that I said I'm never going to work there, but I applied to them because I just wanted out of that place. And my girlfriend was just saying, you need to talk to God about it. I'm like, naturally, when I'm trying to do it myself, that's not what I want to hear. It's like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I'm just being a little baby about it. And so, I talked to God about it. I was like, okay, God, I don't know what it is that needs to happen here, but I need a new job. I do. I don't need to be in this place. It's toxic for me. It's not good at all. I feel so far away from you when I'm there. And I think I only fasted one day. It was like a lunch. So I'm not going to eat lunch. I'll just eat a snack later. And I firmly believe that had something to do with my answer, because actually the job that called me, I applied to like about 6 months until they called me. And I was like, okay, because I applied to it a while back and they never called me back. And so I was looking for other jobs. I didn't get rid of thinking about that one. And so when I got the call, I knew it was it. Like, I knew that was the job. And then I went to the interview, and he said, all right, well, you can start next week, pretty much. And I was like, that actually happened. And so it was the fact that I prayed about it, and I did fast, so it was not that much. I know that it made a difference, because if we are willing to make a sacrifice out of our lives, I believe fasting is sacrificing something that you need, which is why I don't do the social media thing. We don't need social media, so why fast it? I mean, it's good for people that are so addicted to it. I'm not saying fasting social media is a bad thing. It's totally good. For some, it's really good. Some people need to do it a month, probably. And I know people that said, oh, I'm fasting Facebook for a month. And I know and I asked them, okay, so when are you going to be off of the fast, I guess? Like the 28th, and I know it's like the 21st, and they're on there posting something. I'm like, see, they can't even resist. And when I fasted social media one time, it was fasting Instagram, and this is back when I was bad at it. I was fasting it, and it's just crazy, like how you just get into a daze and don't even realize you're on it. Because I put it, I turned the app off and all that kind of stuff. Next thing I knew, I was on it. I just looked at my phone. I was supposed to just text my grandfather back. Next thing I know, I was sitting there scrolling through Instagram. I didn't even realize I was scrolling through it until maybe 10 seconds in. I was like, I'm on this thing. So I turned it off. I did that maybe 3 times every day, because it was just part of my life. That's just all I ever did. And when I finally got to where I could just resist it, that was the breakthrough. Now I don't need it. It's a good thing to finally be able to break free from something like that. So fasting social media, I don't think it's a bad thing. But you don't have to stop there. It may not even be just sacrificing food.
It's tough to fast food, man.
It is difficult with all the food that we have nowadays, and how quick we can get food. And and I really think the food that's made nowadays, it doesn't supply your digestive system very well. It doesn't actually fill you up. It makes you think you're full, but you just By the time, like an hour or two later, you're just hungry again. That's just how it is. So that's what makes it so difficult.
Chips and then 30 seconds later.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's why people get so addicted to stuff like that. But
yeah, for me, I mean, I don't ever get on social media. I do fast it, but for me, like, obviously one of the biggest things to fast is food. But also for me, YouTube. I get on YouTube a good bit. It's not technically social media.
It can be considered.
It can be considered, yeah. But I get on YouTube and watch like funny videos, stuff like that. I watch like how-to videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly watching stuff like that. I think what motivates me to fast is when you pray, it allows you to have a close relationship with God. But when you fast, it shows Him that you want to have a close relationship with God. So I think
that you're willing to sacrifice.
That you're willing to sacrifice for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like a process. You pray, you fast, and then you thank God in advance for the blessing or the answer or whatever it is. And so Deuteronomy 10:21, He is thy praise and He is thy God, that hath done for thee these great and terrible things which thine eyes have seen. Everything that I've seen God do for me, and everything that I know He hasn't done yet, but He's going to do for me, and things that He has kept me from, that motivates me to just be able to worship. And I'm kind of answering my question before you, but it's fine. We're just going to talk about what motivates you to worship. It's just the fact that realizing what God's brought you through. And, a lot of times I just forget until like a pastor just says, why don't you just reminisce on what you've been through maybe like the past 5 years. Yeah. And the past 5 years have been rough, but they've also been a blessing. Yeah. And, we all go through those things for a reason, and God is worthy of the praise of where He's brought us through.
Well, man, that can be a lot of things. I mean, obviously, God's awesome. The fact that, when you're worshiping, you know you're worshiping the one true living God. That's always a big motivator. But I'll say this. I think we left our old church, I think I was almost 11. If we would have stayed at that church, who knows where I would have been, honestly, because, well, I won't get off too much on that, but we went to, the best way I can say it is whenever we found Hodge, you know that feeling whenever you walk into camp? It's like such a peace, and like you can feel that.
You can actually feel the presence of God.
Yeah, you can feel the presence of God. We walked in that church, and my 10 or 11-year-old self could feel God there, and I was like, I know this is the church. So that's one of the reasons that really motivates me to worship, is that I know God brought me here. I love Hodge. But I'll say kind of a story. Last year at camp, it was the second day, first day of camp, Monday night service. Just kind of going through the motions and everything. And then the second night, Tuesday night, we were in the altar after preaching. It was the altar service, and I was just standing there praying, worshiping and everything. And then I remember you actually came up and started praying with me. Maybe a few others, but you started praying with me. And I remember right there feeling like I had a call. I didn't know what it was. I just felt like, obviously, God calls everyone to do something. Mm-hmm. But I felt like God was dealing with me about calling me to do something. And so, coming home from camp, I was always praying like, God, what do you want me to do? I know, I feel like you want me to do something, but I just don't know what it is. And it was maybe a month later that Brandon came up to me, and at that point I started learning how to play music when I was about 13. And that night, it was Sunday night, Brandon came to me and was like, man, I want you to play Wednesday. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't know a clue about how to do any of that. At that point, all I knew how to do was just play songs. I had no experience with playing in a band, the praise team. Yeah. And I remember showing up at the service, and we were in the gym, and I got there and I was so not really down on myself, but I was like, man, this is gonna sound so funky.
Yeah, just
You
kind
know,
of judge ourselves.
I don't know what I'm doing, you know. But I got up there, and if I remember right, man, I don't even think the amp was on for the first song, so you couldn't even hear me play it. But I remember it was halfway through the second song. I think it was Enter the Gates. It's halfway through the second song. It's hard to describe it, man. And I haven't really told anyone this, but I was like, man, it's hard to explain the feeling, but it was about halfway through the song, and it's like I just kind of zoned out, and it was like God brought back to my mind that night at camp when you were praying with me, and it just kind of clicked, like, this is what I'm calling you to do. And
It's kind of like one of those little...
Yeah, and it was really cool because...
It's crazy how you didn't realize it until you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, like, it didn't even register, but when I was on stage, it was like, man, this is it, you know. And I knew then that God was calling me to music ministry, and I love music with everything in me, man. But I'm sure we'll get off into that more in a little bit. But the thing that motivates me to worship after saying all that is when you have a calling. Obviously, God calls everyone to do something. You know, He wants everyone to work in His kingdom. But when you have a calling to do something, He'll make you wait for it. You know, He may not tell you what He's calling you to do right off. Some people, it's like He'll tell you He wants you to do something, you just start doing it. But for me, He kind of made me wait a little bit. You know, I started learning guitar when I was about 13, and I was, I think, about 15 when I started playing in church, and it was the best feeling ever. So what motivates me, finally getting to the question, what motivates me to worship is when God calls you to do something, He'll make you wait for it sometimes. But what do you do in the meantime you worship? You know, what do you do while you're waiting for your calling to be fulfilled and to be used by God the way you want to be used and the way He wants to use you? You worship.
You just thank Him for what He's...
Thank Him for what He's called you to do. You worship, seek God with everything, you know.
Just thank Him for what He's already done, even though He's already there. We ain't. So we have to be willing to worship God, thanking Him for bringing us where we are, thanking Him for what He's done, thanking Him already for it because He's already done it. It's already done, kind of thing. But it's, you know, trying to, not only that, but whenever we're like an altar call or something, man, the Spirit, like, it's not really flowing that well. You just feel a wall up. I just feel like a little motivation to just kind of try to break that wall down. Whether it be hollering, it'll be jumping, or it'll actually just be going up to the front first before everyone else. Just breaking that ice. Breaking that ice, because once you do that, everyone else is like, I feel it. And, you know, God will kind of use you as a vessel sometimes for that kind of thing, because it's like...
it doesn't necessarily, like, open the door, but it makes it easier for
everyone else. Makes it easier for else to step in.
Yeah.
It's like you just twist the doorknob, and they can just push on through.
Right.
So... you break the lock, everyone else gets to push the door down and stuff like that. And let's move on to this other thing, because I think you're trying to get into it. You've kind of already really explained what motivated you to be a part of the music ministry, because, you know, God kind of called you to it. It's an awesome thing to be a part of, but what was it exactly?
What motivated me to, well, man, you know, obviously what I already said, I love the feeling. I've always been like a geek in music. You guys, like, any of my family, that pretty much.
Oh yeah, when I hear you talk to Chapman or Connor about stuff, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Even your girlfriend's like, I don't know what they're talking about. They're just. She looked at me one time. She's like, they're talking guitars. I was like, yeah, I don't know that stuff.
Man, I love playing guitar. I love music. And I always have. I've always wanted to learn at least an instrument, not necessarily guitar, but my mom had an old acoustic beat up, like, youth-size guitar that I got my brother-in-law to get some strings for me, and I put some strings on it and learned how to play it. And I love being part of music ministry, but I do have an answer for that, though. But what motivated me to become part of music ministry, and also what continues to motivate me in music ministry is the fact that, the feeling that I first felt when I first got on stage, the feeling of, I don't want to say I'm talented by any means. If I do, it's going to be
Well,
because
you are.
it's going to be because, like, I'm talented. It's all because of him. Give him all the glory, and that's what it's all about. But what continues to motivate me in music ministry is the fact that every time I get on stage, that same feeling comes back. I get that same feeling.
You know you're doing what he's called you.
You're doing what he's calling you to do. Yeah.
It's it's an awesome feeling to be a part of that.
It is.
No,
You're a singer, man.
I'm in the
You can
choir.
sing, dude. You can sing, man.
Like you, I'm not gonna say that I'm talented at all because I honestly got it. I don't think I am. I think it's just me just helping create an atmosphere. That's what I pray every time we go up, before we go up there and sing. I'm like, God, just help me be able to create an atmosphere. Don't help me hit the right notes. Now, obviously, I'm concerned about hitting the right notes and stuff because it can be a distraction. But I mean, I know that we're not perfect because if we worry about that, then we're not doing it for the right reasons. And actually, one time I did not pray. I didn't. Wasn't exactly, I guess you'd say, a good Christian that day. But I knew I had to sing that night, and I sang horrible, like to the point to where I actually just mouthed the words. And I was like, wow, that's actually terrible how that happens. And as soon as church was over with, I was able to sing. I was like, okay, God, I'm sorry about that because that was bad on me for not even taking it seriously. Ever since then, I've taken singing seriously. Anytime I get asked, I love to do it. And when we sing, it's worship. And when you're doing it in the music ministry, we're making a joyful noise.
It's the same way in music ministry, man. Mm-hmm. Like you'll tell yourself, like the flesh side of you, I'll catch myself being like, man, I can play this song really good, and the flesh side of you will be like, I want to show everybody.
Yeah, see,
you got to be honest with yourself, and you need to pray about that, But once you realize, like, okay, God, it's all for you, then everything starts flowing back again.
I think the flesh side's always there, though. You always want to do it, but just the way you handle the situation, like if someone's like, you did good, you played good, you sang good, you don't be like, thanks, I did, didn't I? Or, yeah, I know I did. No, I'm just like, did I? I'm a little too humble about it sometimes, but I don't want to ever be arrogant about it because I can't sing without God's anointing on me, honestly, and I'm pretty sure you can't do the same thing without God's anointing on you when it comes to playing.
I can tell you that, like, I didn't know a thing about music, and then when I felt like, I just felt like I wanted to learn music, so I started learning it, and God ended up using that.
And here you are.
Yeah, but I'll say this, if God's calling you to do something, you may not be qualified, but he'll qualify you.
Last question, and then we can wrap this up. We've actually went for a long while, but the best way to end this is actually kind of critiquing ourselves, I guess you could say. And really just seeing how we could be better, not saying it. Yeah. Anyway, we're just going to go to the questions. It's actually it's like a two-part question. What aspect do you think you need to be more motivated in, and how do you think you can improve on that?
Probably fasting. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
I think we agree on that one.
Yeah, you can get to a point where it's easy to make time to pray, but it's hard to make time to fast. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, I don't like fasting food because I love food. I love to eat.
Oh yeah, I love it too, man.
But I think fasting is something I could definitely be better at. And it takes a while, You're not just going to be good at it right off. But I think fasting is something that I could definitely be better at. And
yeah, the fasting thing, I agree on it. That would be number one. Tell you what, we can rank them, I guess. Fasting would be number one because I don't take the time out of my day to try to not fast. Or, I'm sorry, not eat. It can. I just don't think about fasting that much. If I actually thought about the time, it's like, okay, God sacrificed so much for us. Why can't we do the same thing for Him? Especially in something that we need, that I need to really work on. I think number two would probably be pray, because I don't pray as much as I would like to. Yeah. I do pray, but it's not enough. And we have already discussed how essential that is to be, how essential that is in our walk with God and everything. But I think worship would be number 3. I'm not saying I'm really good at it. I'm just saying I don't have much of an issue. It comes more naturally. It's kind of bad how we just rely on the natural, but I think that's what I would rank it as.
Yeah, but same here.
You got the same ranks? Well, if I had a joke, I would end it with a joke, but I do not, unfortunately.
That's the joke.
Yeah, I'm the joke. Remember somebody made a joke? It's like, I think it was Brandon. He said, "Hey Nate, you want to hear a joke?" I was like, "Well," he's like, "Simon." I was like,
"Oh God!"
And you were standing there.
Dude,
You're just like
stuff like that all the time, man.
You're just standing there like, "Hey, you're right. I'm Simon." But this has been a good one. It kind of I feel like it kind of flew by a little bit. This one went faster than I thought it would be.
I enjoyed it, man.
It's really laid back. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah. A little nervous at first, but
I can tell you were, but you kind of got. Once you get into it, it's really easy. It's really nice. It's you're not standing in front of a bunch of You're not standing in front of a bunch of people, so it's a whole lot easier to just be able to let it out and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate you asking me.
I will invite you back on here soon.
Absolutely.
We got a list.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a list. We're a company.
Oh yeah.
But again,
we'll see when we can fit you in.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll put you on the schedule for 2 years from now.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
really
absolutely. But
enjoyed it.
For those who are watching, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to listen to this. I guess if we could say anything motivational, it would just be willing to take time out of your day to do what it is to live for God. But with all that, thank you all for listening. We're going to do our best to keep up with these episodes. It's been a while. I do apologize for this being an episode that came out way later than anticipated. But again, thank to all whoever watches this, and have a blessed day.